Every MLB era explained in 15 minutes.
Organized baseball had existed for decades before the MLB or its leagues even existed. There was a bunch of random clubs playing with a bunch of different rules, but the emphasis was on it being very amateur. Nobody was getting paid. In 1854, we had the first set of standardized rules, which later became the foundation for baseball. These rules were agreed upon by 3 teams, the Knickerbocker, Gotham, and Eagle clubs.
Dude, this is actually insane to think about. The fact that in 1850, baseball has been going on for so long. 1850 is insane. Chat, how long do you think the MLB will actually last? This is pre-MLB, obviously, but this is still baseball. How long do you think the MLB will actually last? Do you think it will last for like 100 more years and they'll switch on to the next thing? Or like in 200 years, it'll be a different league? Like, I think about that shit all the time for some reason. I don't know. That's something that kind of freaks me out. Like, think about it. We're so early in MLB, NFL, NBA. Like, it's only been a thing for like 100 years. Think about it in like 200, 300 years when the kids at the lunch table are going to be arguing about how their team has 100 championships compared to the other team having 75, or one team having 200 championships. That's crazy to think about.
In 1857, the National Association of Baseball Players formed, and while it was the first real organized league, it was still very amateur, and being paid was against the rules. But that didn't stop some of the superstar players at the time, like Lit Pike from...
So this is like men's softball league, essentially, or like a men's baseball league.
Getting paid under the table. After the Civil War, the Negro Leagues were formed for African Americans who wanted to play baseball, as the NABBP voted to refuse any club that had a black player on the team. In 1871, the NABBP became the National Association of Professional Baseball Players, also known as the National Association. This was the first fully professional baseball league that had an emphasis on paying players. This didn't...
How do you think to think about the fact that, like, how do they even become professional? Like, what was the standard of professional baseball player back then? Like, could I just show up and is there tryouts? Like, did you have to know people? Like, could you just pay to get in? I don't know. It's weird to think about, bro. Like, something that starts off so small that just grow into something this big.
Last very long though, because in 1876, 6 teams from the National Association and 2 independent teams broke off to form the National League that we know today. And in 1901, the American League that we know today was formed in Milwaukee by Ban Johnson. Some charter teams were the Baltimore Orioles, though not the same ones of today, the Chicago White Stockings, which later became the future White Sox, and the Detroit Tigers. The dead ball era.
What?
The dead ball era
Is that the same? Have the Tigers actually been around since the beginning? The same name, same logo, and everything. If that's true, I'm assuming it is switched. But if it's true, bro, that's crazy. I might have misheard it though.
Baltimore Orioles, though not the same ones of today, the Chicago White Stockings, which later became the future White Sox, and the Detroit Tigers. The dead ball
That's
era.
crazy.
The dead ball era is defined by the fact that the balls themselves that were being used in professional games were designed poorly and overused in
The
games.
dead ball
A single
era.
baseball would often be in play for over 100 pitches, to the point where it was soft and tearing apart. The softness made it much more difficult to hit further, meaning games were slower, less entertaining, and
I mean, this is crazy, dude. Look how many people are in the stand. How did they even get this many people? Because I mean, sports have pretty much always been a thing, but I just don't get it, bro. Like, how do you get this many people? Like, what was the advertising back then for this?
made baseball a much more strategy-driven game. Another contributing factor...
I mean, it's probably like when concerts and opera stuff that was more popular back then and all that type of stuff. I guess it's probably about the same thing.
To this is the fact that pitchers were actually allowed to manipulate the ball before a pitch. So marking the ball, scuffing it, and spitballs were extremely common, making the ball even harder to make contact with in general. This made home runs during this era extremely rare, as well.
The average home runs hit per game was .17.
As finding base hits in general. The batting average in the professional leagues at this time dropped to 239, and the average runs per game was 3.4.
I mean, that's basically what it is today. That's pretty crazy.
Which is the lowest ever. Because getting hits was so uncommon, a lot of the strategy during this era was centered around just getting on base as much as possible through bunts, walks, and if you finally got to actually make it to first base, stealing. And despite all...
Oh my, I can't imagine how boring that would be to go watch that. People just bunting and trying to get walks and get hit and then stealing, just full small ball, everything. It's like watching the Brewers today.
All of this, there were still stars like Ty Cobb who were able to put up historic records, like a career batting average of 366,
Okay, that's crazy.
which is one of the highest in MLB history.
Dude, think about this. This is like some goat shit right here. Think about the fact everyone is hitting like 200, they can barely get hits, and he's hitting 366. Come
Career
on,
batting
bro.
average of 366, which is one of the highest in MLB history. He prioritized stealing bases very highly, and by the end of his career, he had 897 stolen bases. There were other historic players during this era too, like Hannes Wagner, who had over 3,400 career hits and a lifetime batting average of 329, and Chief Wilson, who set the record for most triples in a season with 36 during the 1912
That's also pretty impressive.
season. And that record has still yet to be broken and is considered to be one of MLB's unbreakable records. And even though there were some generational hitters during this time, what we really saw was the emergence of some of the greatest pitchers we've ever seen in baseball, namely Cy Young. Cy Young has the unbroken record of 511 career wins, which is almost 100 wins ahead of the second place pitcher Walter Johnson, who was another great pitcher from the dead ball era. And over his 22-year career,
I mean, that's just unfair though. That's just completely unfair. I feel like it's cooler when the hitters are really good in an era where every hitter is bad. But if every hitter is terrible and the ball is just juiced out of its mind for pitchers, it's not really that impressive to be that good. It's like when Greg Maddux and Mariano and all the pitchers, I think Pedro Martinez, I don't think he juiced up, were pitching in the steroid era. Like, that's impressive.
Cy Young pitched 7,356 innings and maintained a career ERA of just 2.63. This makes him one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And if his legacy and impact on the game wasn't clear enough,
he's playing
MLB
against plumbers, bro.
The best pitcher of every season with the Cy Young Award in 1956. The live ball era. The live ball era was a period of extreme rise in offensive statistics, leading to a time of records constantly being broken and completely changing the way baseball is played even to this day. We also saw the emergence and rise of some of baseball's first superstars like Babe Ruth. Starting in 1920, pitchers were no longer allowed to manipulate the balls, meaning no more scuffs, spitballs, or marks. This, combined with another new rule that required baseballs to be
Bro, I'm trying to think of like what a spitball. How much would that realistically do? Like, cause you get it a little wet. Like the pitchers today, they use sweat. Like, would you be coughing up like a fat loogie and rubbing it into the ball? Would you like spit? Like, would you drink a bunch of water before you go out in the field? Like, what if you're a little parched? What if you haven't drank much water and you have no spit? I feel like a loogie would be the best way to get movement. I don't know how much like a small amount of spit would actually control the way the ball moves. There's no way they were throwing it that hard.
Swapped out at the first sign of wear meant that balls were brighter and easier to see, and when contact was made, they weren't as soft during the dead ball era, meaning the balls went much further. This changed everything about baseball, as games became much more high scoring and there was a new reliance on hitting home runs.
Wait, what is this? Live ball era home runs. This is from it's from 2017. 6,000. This was the juiced ball era though, right here. Dude, that is crazy.
And the perfect example of this is baseball's first real superstar, Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth played with the Boston Red Sox during the dead ball era, but it wasn't until 1920 when he joined the Yankees where he would really start to shine. In that same year, he hit 54 home runs. Not only was this unheard of, but
Chad, do you think he's mixed? Because most of the pictures you see are in black and white. I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories that he was actually mixed and that they hid that so he could play.
he eclipsed every other batter in the league, nearly tripling George Sisler in this same season, who had the second most runs at 19. Babe Ruth single-handedly changed the way baseball was played offensively, turning it from a game that was centered around plays like bunting into a game that was all about power. He was breaking records.
I mean, he is the game changer. It's like Jordan coming into the NBA, bro.
Left and right, with a career slugging percentage of .689.
6'8", That's crazy.
9-7 that has lasted to this day, 714 career home runs, and a record 60 home run season, both of which lasted for decades. He wasn't the only one breaking records during this time, though, as Joe DiMaggio began his career during this era, and just a few years into his career, he managed to set the record for the longest hitting streak ever at 56 games.
Bro, will this ever get broken? I don't know if this will ever get broken. We just saw a guy, what's his name? Vargas, Ildevaro Vargas, I think is what his name is. I could be completely botching that first name. He got like 26 before it got lost. I think that's one of the longest in recently. I remember there's one person who had another good one. It was like Trey Turner maybe, but 56 games in a row. I don't know if that'll ever be broken.
In a row. This is considered to be baseball's most unbreakable record. The live ball era was a complete reconstruction of how baseball was played, and it's considered to be one of the most exciting times in baseball history. The integration era. During the integration...
Wait, do they still have, like... It would be kind of fire to sit down and just, like, watch a game from back then. Like a World Series game with Babe Ruth and whoever else. I don't really remember who else was in the league at that time.
Era, we finally start to see the color barrier being broken in Major League Baseball. There were talks to start integrating Negro League players as early as 1943, with players like Josh Gibson and Charlie Grant gaining the interest of professional teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates. Unfortunately, Kennesaw Landis, who was baseball's commissioner at the time, was an extreme segregationist and wouldn't permit it. This didn't stop everyone though, and
yo, you know what's crazy? The casting for the Jackie Robinson movie, they did such a good job.
The GM of the Brooklyn Dodgers, Branch Rickey, was determined to end segregation in baseball. So in 1946, Rickey signed Jackie Robinson to play for the Dodgers minor league team, knowing that he had the inner strength to withstand the inevitable abuse. And on April 15th, 1947, the color barrier in baseball was officially broken, with Jackie Robinson playing his first game for the Brooklyn Dodgers. This opened the door for other African-American players.
Dude, there's no way they don't have, like, actual film of those games, bro. That would be so fire to watch. Like, imagine watching Jackie Robinson's first game.
Larry Doby, Satchel Paige, and Roy Campanella, who would eventually join the professional league. And while it wasn't quick or easy, more and more teams began signing players of color, including Latin.
You know how they grade tickets? Imagine how much do you think like a graded Jackie Robinson, like authenticated ticket stub would go for today? How much do you think that would be? That would be like that would actually be over $1 million probably. That would probably be the most expensive ticket stub ever.
American players who were facing similar challenges
Possibly.
as African American players with getting into professional baseball. And this is the start of baseball becoming the multicultural and international game that it is today. The expansion era. The expansion era saw a huge increase and spread of the teams in the majors. Before the 1950s and early 60s, there were 16 teams in only 11 cities. By 1961, with the addition of new teams and relocations, there were 18 teams in 16 cities. This helped get professional baseball out of the Northeast and into the rest of the US market, with the addition of new cities like Milwaukee, Baltimore, Kansas City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco.
Well, this was recently though. I feel like I thought Milwaukee. No, that was Colorado.
Some teams relocated, like the Brooklyn Dodgers, who went to Los Angeles, and the New York Giants, who went to San Francisco, but other new teams were formed, like the Los Angeles Angels in 1961. In 1962, the National League expanded to 10 teams to match the American League, and so they added 2 new teams, the Houston Colt 45s.
What? I didn't even know that. The Houston Colt 45s is such a crazy name. That name is terrible. I'm sorry. It's kind of cool, but it's terrible. That name is horrible. I'm sorry. The Colt 45s. Would this, like, what would the logo be, you think? If this was like current day and they stayed as the Colt 45s, would it just be the gun? I think they would have to rebrand.
And the New York Mets. In 1969, both leagues expanded again, with the American League adding the Kansas City Royals and the Seattle Pilots, who would...
The Pilots? Change the Mariners. That's a great rebrand.
Later become the Milwaukee Brewers and the National League.
What? I mean, that's also a good rebrand. But how did they come to Seattle? Wait, what were they?
Kansas City Royals and the Seattle Pilots.
The Seattle Pilots switched to the Milwaukee Brewers, and they... Why would they not just switch into the Mariners?
Would later become the Milwaukee Brewers, and the National League adding the Montreal Expos and San Diego Padres.
The Expos. Yeah, that's another. I think moving to DC was good. I don't know. The Expos is kind of trash. That logo is kind of trash, bro.
The pitching era. The pitching era takes place during the expansion era. This is when the game of baseball itself underwent a lot of changes too. In 1963, the strike zone was officially redesigned, and it was greatly in favor of pitchers. The new strike zone had
they expanded, but they lowered this though. Holy fuck, dude! Knees to shoulder. I mean, that's just unfair, bro. That is so unfair. That is huge.
Expanded to be the area from the shoulders to the bottom of the knees. Because of this, there was a resurgence in pitching dominance, leading to the 1968 season having a record low batting average of .237. Pitchers like Sandy Koufax.
I still think it got worse. It was worse like a couple years ago.
Bob Gibson were able to dominate during this era. Sandy Koufax threw 4 different no-hitters.
So wait, are you telling me that these guys are frauds?
Including a perfect game with a overall 25-5 record with a 1.93 ERA in 1963. He also had amassed 2,000.
He's a strike zone merchant, I think. Oh my God, Bob Gibson is a strike zone merchant, but he has some swag, dude. Look, he's got like the polo top popping out. He's got that is swaggy, bro. I can't even. If someone pulled that out today. Someone needs to do that today in today's game. The polo collar popping out the top, that is fire.
396 strikeouts in just 2,324 innings. Bob Gibson also had one of the most dominant years ever for a pitcher in 1968. He had a 1.12 ERA, and in the World Series Game 1 of that year versus the Detroit Tigers, he had 17 strikeouts. Pitchers were dominating so much so in this era.
Dude, I'm pretty sure Bob Gibson was literally throwing like complete games every single time. And he was going like back to back.
That there was a very real fear that there was going to be a second dead ball era. So in an effort to avoid this, the pitching mound was lowered in 1969.
Oh my, he was a strike zone in pitching mound merchant. And I'm pretty sure this dude was like a badass. Like he didn't fuck around. Like I remember hearing stories about how he would just like throw at people and just scare the shit out of them and just talk shit to them.
From its original 15 inches above home plate to just 10 inches. But it didn't stop there, because in 1973, in further efforts to increase offensive numbers, there was the addition of another new rule: the designated hitter. But the new rule changes worked. And once again, there was an increase in offensive stats, avoiding a second dead ball era. The free agent era. The free agent era is defined by players having much more negotiating power and choice in where they could sign as players.
I mean, dude, look at those jerseys. These are so clean. You got the stirrups, and nobody wears those anymore. The net, like the real stirrups, the rainbow, like light, dark blue, orange. Those are just those are so fire, bro. They're so clean. They are so clean.
And this meant one thing: a lot more money was about to come into baseball. So in 1979, MLB had its first $1 million player, with star pitcher Nolan Ryan signing a $4.5 million 4-year deal with the Houston Astros. And other great players weren't far behind either, with Dave Winfield signing a 10-year contract for $2.5 million a year just 1 year later.
That's pretty crazy.
The effects of this era are seen
at that
even
time,
today.
That seems like it would be pretty crazy.
With free agent contracts for superstars nearing close to $1 billion, like Shohei Ohtani's $700 million contract with the Dodgers and Juan Soto's $760.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm just gonna say right now, there's no world that Juan Soto should be getting paid more than Shohei. In no world should Soto be getting paid more. $65 million more. No wonder he chose the Mets over the Yankees. I mean, they were both going to give him over $700 million. Like, dude, this is a steal. A guy who plays both positions getting paid like $700 million, but he's only getting paid $2 million. Now, how is that going to work in 10 years? I have no idea, bro. I have no idea.
$55 million contract with the Mets. The steroid era. The steroid era was when every record that seemed unbreakable was being broken, mainly thanks to the use of... was when every record that
What a season. 70 home runs, 158 RBIs by Sammy. The Yankees had 114 wins. Kerry Wood had 20 strikeouts in a game. Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive games. And then Alex Rodriguez had a 42-46 season.
seemed unbreakable
Wow,
was
bro.
being broken, mainly thanks to the use of performance-enhancing drugs and steroids. As a fan, this was one of the most entertaining times in all of baseball. There was the 1998 race between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, who were trying to beat the long-held home run record, with Mark McGwire eventually doing it with 70 home runs in the 1990s.
That is so insane. And the fact that, how many home runs did Cal Raleigh hit? Didn't he hit like 66? He hit 60. He did 60 with no PEDs.
98 season.
That's insane.
And it didn't end there, because in 2004, Barry Bonds broke that same record with 73 home runs. And that record has yet to be broken.
I mean, dude, this guy is insane, bro. This is the greatest baseball player of all time. The greatest hitter ever. Roy's or not.
And even 20 years later. And the crazy part about Barry Bonds during this era is that he was considered to be well past his prime in age. Yet somehow at the age of 37, he led the league in on-base percentage, slugging, and WAR.
What is the math here? You got carry the 5, 1, 2, you got 1,380 something like that. 1,380. A 1,380 OPS.
And league-wide offensive stats continued to climb. It was clear to the heads of MLB that something else was going on. So in 2004, MLB implemented league-wide random drug testing. And by 2005, 11 players had already...
Who is this? Alex Sanchez, Augustine Montero, Jamal Strong, Juan Rincon, Rafael Bentancur, Rafael Palmeiro, Ryan Franklin. Literally all these guys are no names.
Already been suspended for PED usage, and that trend only continued.
I've heard this guy.
In 2007, the Mitchell Report was released, which was a 409-page report of a 20-month investigation into steroid use in MLB. 89 MLB players were named in that report, including some big names like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. This led to stars like A-Rod and Mark McGwire admitting to their own steroid usage as well.
Dude, the classic got milk. A-Rod. When did Alex Rodriguez use it, though? Was it before he was actually good? He wasn't good because of the steroids.
Didn't exactly admit to using steroids, but he did admit to making mistakes, but we all know what that means. The analytics era. The analytics era, also known as the Moneyball or StatCast era, is when teams started moving away from traditional scouting methods and instead started using a more data-driven analytical approach to find undervalued players. Teams like the Oakland A's utilize...
This is probably one of the best eras, I can't lie.
This a lot because they didn't have the same resources as teams like the Yankees. But
Brad Pitt actually changed baseball for the good, bro.
Other teams caught on pretty quickly, and by 2007, almost every team was invested in analytics. This same data analysis strategy was used to help optimize the way the game was played too.
490, dude, Miguel Sano. 2016 juiced ball era, or was it 20? I think it was actually 2017. I can't remember the year.
This caused the
juice ball era. Miguel Sano. That guy was insane, dude. That entire Twins team was insane. I can't believe they didn't go farther.
Another resurgence in pitching, with pitchers becoming more specialized, pitching less innings, and breaking new records. Because pitchers were staying in the game less, it meant that every pitcher was working to increase one thing: velocity. Players like Aroldis Chapman and Kelvin Herrera began pitching over 100 miles per hour pretty consistently. The introduction of StatCast showed that there was a very important key to going yard on these high-velocity pitches, and that is launch angle. Players like Jose Bautista, Mike Trout, and Joey Votto were able to optimize their launch angle on their swing to increase their chances of hitting home runs. An optimized launch angle plus higher power slugging plus a higher velocity pitch meant that there were more strikeouts, more home runs, and less balls in play. And then the infield shift got introduced.
What? Dude, I still can't... This being a real picture that they bring up, this is a... And I'm pretty sure the guy still got a hit.
To the game. So the defending team would move 3 infielders.
This is a terrible era in MLB right here. The shifts were so bad. Terrible for the game, bro. Terrible.
to one side of second base, depending on who was batting, to try and cover the gaps in the infield. This allowed for more outs on hard hit.
And the main problem with it is the fact that they changed the rule or whatever, but there still are shifts. And people are still losing hits because of certain shifts in MLB. And it's smart, I get it. But, like, I don't know, dude. Imagine, like, stats before the shift was added. Imagine how crazy some of these players' stats would be.
Balls, thus reducing batting averages and base runners. And because every team began implementing the shift, league-wide batting average in 2022 had dropped to...
What the fuck? Negative. What are the Cubs doing? Bro, come on, man.
243, the 5th worst ever. The modern era. The modern era has been defined by two things so far: international talent and rule changes. International superstars like Shohei Ohtani have become the face of MLB, bringing
the new GOAT, bro. This guy is the GOAT, man. I mean, you really can't do much about it.
in millions of fans from Japan and making millions more in the US.
I skip math to watch history.
And it's for good reason. Ohtani is a generational talent, breaking records by having the first 50-50 season, which is 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases.
And he's a pitcher. He's one of the best pitchers in the league.
In a single season,
I can't
as well as
believe it.
becoming the new all-time leading home run hitter among Japanese-born players. Not to mention all the other
Wait, who did he
international
surpass?
all-time leading home run hitter among
Hideki Matsui.
Japanese-born players. Not to mention all the other international talents like Ronald Acuna Jr. and Juan Soto, both of whom are already being talked about for the Hall of Fame. These are some of the best players in the game with the biggest, both of whom are...
Okay, real quick, before you hear what I'm about to say, this is me coming in after while I'm editing this video. This is about to be one of the worst takes I've ever had. Okay, I don't know why I said it. Sometimes words just come out of your mouth without even thinking about it. Okay, it's probably happened to you. It's happened to me plenty of times. What I say, I do not truly believe. Okay, I want you to know I went through and I actually checked this, and I'm not even sure what I was thinking while I was saying this. I'm going to be honest. For some reason, I got in my mind that MVPs, if you have to win an MVP to go in the Hall of Fame, I don't know. But yeah, feel free to just send all the hate comments in the world in this post because I honestly deserve it for what I'm about to say. Peace. Whoa. Let's slow down here with Acuna. Acuna, I don't know if either of these players would make the Hall of Fame right now. Am I wrong to say that? I don't think I'm wrong to say that. Acuna has more. I think Acuna has a better argument than Soto. Soto needs to win an MVP, bro. What is he doing here? He already has one. Acuna has an MVP at least, and a World Series, even if he was hurt. He's been hurt. He tore ACL twice, which has kind of tanked his career that he was having. Soto just really hasn't done shit to get MVP, bro. Soto needs at least one MVP to make the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
Are already being talked about for the Hall of Fame. These are some of the best players in the game with the biggest contracts, and it's a defining factor for the future of baseball. MLB also added new rules in 2023 that were implemented not only to speed up the pace of the game, but to also make it more engaging and entertaining for fans. First, we have the pitch timer. Starting in 2023, there's now 30 seconds between batters, with pitchers getting a 50...
Bro, I'm going to say this right now. The pitch timer might be one of the greatest rule changes that have ever been added into the MLB. It actually makes the game so much more entertaining and so much... It's just more watchable. Dude, people were taking 3 minutes in between pitches. You would fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep again, and then wake back up, and it'd only be like the 4th inning. It's so good, bro. This is actually such a great addition. Rob Manfred was cooking with this one.
15-second timer between pitches if bases are empty, and 20 if runners are on base. Pitchers now also only have 2 disengagements allowed. So overall, the pace of the game is much faster. And in an effort to increase batting average and get runners on base, the infield shift has also been banned. And while this hasn't completely turned around the downtrend of lower batting average,
the batting average is the only reason the batting averages aren't great is because pitchers are really good and people prioritize OPS, slugging percentage mainly, and on base percentage. So getting walks and hitting home runs more than hitting singles. And launch angle, like he was saying earlier, people strike out a lot more, but they also hit a lot more home runs. So I mean, it is what it is. OPS matters way more than average.
It's definitely kept it stable. And the last big change was to the size of the bases themselves. Bases increased in size.
This is another great rule change. People thought it would affect steals. I don't really think it does that, but it just keeps people safe.
From 15 inches square to 18 inches square. And with the rise of record-breaking international superstars, combined with these big changes to speed up the game and increase offensive stats, in my opinion, this modern era is looking pretty exciting.
Brad, shout out Baseball Explained. That was a good video.